Mike McCarthy will not be returning to the Dallas Cowboys. This is our first down. Jerry Jones turned down the Bears for a request to interview Mike McCarthy. And sure enough, Jerry Jones doesn't want him either.
Well, I think when you look at what happened with Mike Vrabel going to the Patriots, we'll get to that in a moment. Mike McCarthy, to me, becomes the most likely successor to Matt Eberflus. This is a guy who brings credibility if he were to take the Bears job. He's not even interviewed yet. I know that's getting ahead of ourselves. They've got 12 more candidates to interview probably. But I think Mike McCarthy would give you some credibility. I don't think that he's somebody that is going to inspire a lot of people. I think it's an uninspiring choice, but it is understandable given where the Bears are, given his success with quarterbacks. He's a guy who is capable of running an organization and a football team. I don't know how qualified he would be to revitalize an organization just because he's a guy that is not his style, it's not his personality, certainly qualified and capable. But Ruthie, I don't think that anyone is going to say that Mike McCarthy is full of charisma necessarily. Funny guy, understated, good sense of humor, capable, but I think that a lot of people would expect more.
Why do you say he's the front runner then?
Well, I think because of his experience. He's got a Super Bowl ring. He's more qualified than anybody they have interviewed that isn't named Pete Carroll. I don't think they're going to go the Pete Carroll direction, even though I think that would get people enthused. But Mike McCarthy does have experience in Green Bay, in a big market like Dallas, and he would come to Chicago with credentials that, frankly, the 19 other guys or 18 other guys linked to this job don't have.
Would this hire tell you that the Chicago Bears have a vision of changing the way things are right now?
Not necessarily. It would tell me that they're leaning toward experience and also somebody who has a good experience with managing quarterbacks. He was there for Aaron Rodgers, won a Super Bowl with number 12. And I think that Caleb Williams, who's, let's face it, idol was Aaron Rodgers, tries to emulate him, playing for Mike McCarthy. There would be a symmetry there that they could sell. I think it would be a tough sell, but I would understand, given who else they're interviewing and who else is available, why they may end up on that direction.
That's an interesting parallel. I hadn't thought about the sort of Aaron Rodgers parallel. Caleb Williams wants to be like Aaron Rodgers. Mike McCarthy knows how to handle people that want to be like Aaron Rodgers.
And knows the division.
And knows the division. Let's move on to our second down. So much to get to. We talked about it. Mike Vrabel is off the market. He is now the head coach of the New England Patriots, and he had his introductory press conference today.
I want to galvanize our football team. I want to galvanize this building. I want to galvanize our fans. And the most important thing are the players. There's some of them right here. I want to provide a program that provides their ownership, but also their accountability of each other, and one that they'll be proud to be a part of and that they're going to fight for.
It's just unbelievable to think about one team introducing their head coach to a fan base. 6 days, was it?
It took 6 days.
6 days.
Now, they did make a mockery of the Rooney Rule.
Of course.
I think that they did that, and Robert Kraft got away with it because of who he is in the league. But what you have here is an example of one serious organization that gamed the system to get the guy they wanted and were fixated on hiring. And then there's the Chicago Bears. They are not fixated. They are not focused. And they seem like it's an excessive number of candidates. If you wanted Mike Vrabel, you did not do a good job of showing that. You interviewed him virtually. You didn't bring him into the building. You never shook his hand and looked him in the eye. The Patriots did have an advantage because he's a former Patriot who was part of that dynasty. But if you're a Bears fan, you're frustrated because you never even got a chance to make your best sales job about a job that I think you wanted him to want. And I think if they would have hired Mike Vrabel, to me, he was the most qualified available candidate.
I have here written in my notes to ask you, does losing Vrabel as a candidate create more urgency? However, the Bears added another name to their list today, so I don't know if there's any urgency in Haugh Hall.
What is this urgency you speak of? They are taking their time. Maybe all's well that ends well, and the outcome will outweigh the process, but right now it's fair to question the process.
Let's move on to our third down. There is just so much to break down here, and we are running out of time. Third down, Tom Brady will be calling the Lions game. He also had a phone call with Ben Johnson or Ben Johnson's agent or somebody this week to make sure that Ben Johnson would take an interview with the Las Vegas Raiders. Tom Brady now, of course, a minority owner with the Vegas Raiders. Does this bother you that he'll be on the call?
It does bother me, Ruthie, because he has 5% stake in the Las Vegas Raiders, and he's probably more involved than that in terms of picking their next coach and charting the future. He will be in the booth when the Lions are playing the Commanders. It's disingenuous at best to not acknowledge that. But it's going to be the elephant in the booth. Will they talk about how they're connected with this job search in Las Vegas? I don't know that they will, and I think that they should, because it gives them a connection. It's a conflict of interest. It's a clear, cut and dried conflict of interest.
With that being said, Tom Brady recruiting Ben Johnson, clearly that's become a very personal relationship. If he is going to have such a part in this recruitment of Ben Johnson, does that make the Raiders' job more attractive with Tom Brady calling the shots?
Absolutely. I think it does. Even though they're unsettled at quarterback, they fired their general manager to pave the way because they wanted their head coach not to have an impediment. Who does that sound like it's tailor-made for? Tom Brady wants Ben Johnson to work for him, and he will be calling his game Saturday night. If you don't see the conflict of interest there, I can't help you. And yes, the Raiders' job looks very attractive because you don't have a personnel guy that you can't work with, and you have a situation where you feel like they've got the money and they're starting over.
Let's move on to our fourth down because I want to make sure we get to this. You are Mr. Notre Dame, former Notre Dame, covered the team for how long?
A lot of time, 11 years.
11 years.
Yeah.
11 years you got to cover Notre Dame football. Big developments this weekend, one of them being Ron Rivera was interviewed in person. Also, rumblings that the Marcus Freeman pursuit has not come to an end despite that contract extension that he did get from Notre Dame. I want you to chime in here because you're very well connected in that community.
Good luck with that, because I don't think Marcus Freeman wants to leave South Bend, nor should he. He makes $9 million a year. He's under contract till 2030, and he is where he belongs. This is the consummate college football coach. He's inspiring, he's capable, and he's in the national championship game. This was probably the Bears leaking this more than was Marcus Freeman leaking this. He doesn't want any part of this. I'd be shocked if he left. I don't expect it to happen. Ron Rivera interviewing at Haugh on Sunday, I think was out of respect for who he is in Bears history. Member of the 85 Bears. He was a part of the staff in 2006. The Bears have only had 2 great teams in the last 40 years. He's been part of both of those. So I think that Ron Rivera, when you talk about somebody who's capable and a great communicator, he's that guy. So I think Marcus Freeman and Ron Rivera have that in common. Both guys are easy to be inspired by.
Marcus Freeman is at the peak of his career right now. He's in the national championship game. He is the head coach of Notre Dame. Is his job at Notre Dame better than the Chicago
Ruthie,
Bears?
Coaching Notre Dame right now is much better than coaching the Chicago Bears for many reasons. But college coaches right now, this is their little kingdom, and they're making more money than NFL coaches. Marcus Freeman is making twice as much money as Matt Eberflus did last year. Why would he leave? He's a hero. He brought this team to the national championship. When you do that at Notre Dame, you are 60 minutes away from becoming a legend. There's no way I see Marcus Freeman leaving Notre Dame.
Marcus Freeman is in his late 30s. He's going to have many more opportunities to go to make that jump to the NFL if he so chooses later on in his career.
39 years old. His whole coaching future is ahead of him. After he wins a national title or 2, maybe then an NFL team will be coming for him. But right now, good luck, Chicago Bears. It's a non-starter. It's not a non-story. We have to talk about it. It's a big deal given they play Ohio State, but it's a non-starter.